I'm George McCranie, attorney with offices in Douglas and Valdosta, Georgia. And I've seen it fairly recently, several times, and I wanted to talk today about the issue of how to know if you've suffered a hairline fracture. Okay, that's after an accident, a car accident, maybe you've been hurt at work, something like that. Because we've run into it where people have actually had hairline fractures that the doctors have missed. They're still having pain, and we're having to figure out what's the problem and what's going on with them. So this will give you an idea how to know if you've got a hairline fracture. All right, and the most obvious sign of a hairline fracture is pain. All right, now the pain can grow worse over time, especially if you try to go back and resume your normal activities. All right, especially stressful activities. Now, this means going back to work, or starting to ride four-wheelers with your kids again, or something like that. It can really start to creep up on you. Okay, now it can fade or lessen, the pain can, if you rest. All right, now other symptoms include bruising, swelling, tenderness. All right, now depending on the severity of the stress fracture, it's possible for the hairline fracture to heal on its own. All right, provided certain precautions are taken. Now, the examination and the diagnosis of whether or not you have a hairline fracture, all right, that should be left up to a doctor. All right, don't try to figure it out on your own. Say, well, I think I've got this, I'm gonna just do a home remedy and try to get by. Go to the doctor, get checked out. If you've got this pain, you want to make sure that you're doing everything you can to stop it, because it's a serious injury and it can lead to worse stuff, sure enough. Okay, now ignoring the pain or providing improper treatment can result in the bone actually breaking. Okay, so instead of being a hairline fracture or stress fracture, the bone could actually break. And you certainly don't want to do that. And you certainly don't want to have it heal improperly and then cause you chronic pain for years and years and years. Okay, you don't want that to happen. Now, home remedies for a hairline fracture usually follow the Rice method. And that's rest, ice, compression, and elevation. All right, that's normal home treatment for something like this. And the doctor may even tell you, hey, this is what you need to do. There's really nothing we can do for it. All right. Now, over-the-counter medications like ibuprofen and aspirin can help with the pain and the swelling. All right, so that's a great thing to use if you're at that point and your doctor recommends it. Now, talk to your doctor if you think you suffered a hairline fracture. If you've been in a car accident and they've checked you out and you've got pain and they just didn't find it and you continue to have it, or you've been at work and you've been injured at work and you've got pain and they just didn't find anything to say, oh, you're fine, that kind of thing, that's what you want to seek treatment for. Figure out exactly what's going on, because the treatment often depends on the location, all right, and the severity of the hairline fracture. Now, the doctor might recommend using crutches, a protective boot to protect your foot if it's in the foot area, or even a cast, okay, to keep the injury from becoming aggravated. You certainly don't want to turn a hairline fracture of your arm into a broken arm, okay? You certainly don't want to do that. Now, in severe cases, hairline fractures actually require surgery, okay? And it's possible that if it requires surgery, that the doctor and the surgeons would use pins and screws, or pins and or screws, all right, to hold the bones together and support them during the healing process. Now, it takes about, in general, I'm not a doctor and I don't play one on TV, but it takes in general about 6 to 8 weeks for a stress fracture to heal. Now, during that time, you want to restrain from any high impact or strenuous activity, all right? If you go back to work and you've got a stress fracture or hairline fracture, you don't want to be running a nail gun, all right? You don't want to be hammering roofing. Any of this kind of thing, you want to avoid whatever could cause that problem to aggravate itself, and you don't want a hairline fracture turning into a broken arm, all right? Now, if you got any questions about this, Facebook message me on Facebook Messenger. I'll respond to you. And I'd really like for you to leave a comment below on the video and let me hear what your experiences have been if you've suffered from a hairline fracture, or they haven't found one and it's taken a little while for them to figure out what's actually wrong, that kind of thing. I'd love to hear, your experiences. Now, if you'd like, you can also call us 833-927-6227, and we'll be glad to talk with you and help you get the answers that you need if you're having a problem. All right. Again, I'm George McCranie, attorney, and we have offices in Douglas and Valdosta, Georgia. I hope this has been helpful, and I hope it saves some people some pain and suffering for a week or two, like we've seen people recently have to go through until we could find the hairline fracture. All right. Y'all have a great day.